hour interview with Charlie Kirk and Gavin Newsom. There are numerous parts of this interview that I actually want to look at. Gavin Newsom started his own podcast. It got 81,000 views, by the way. No motion whatsoever. It feels like the Democrats heard what I was, the Democrats kept asking the question, like, who's the Joe Rogan of the left? And then instead of hearing my answer to it, which was, you can't podcast your way out of this problem, they decided, oh, shut the f*** up. We just need to be the Joe Rogan of the left ourselves. Okay? And that in and of itself is incredibly frustrating. But there was also a lot that he said in this conversation that he had with Charlie Kirk that was even more frustrating. It was actually what he said, the concessions that he made, that was very frustrating. I know a lot of liberals cherish Gavin Newsom. This is like very much this is very much for the Midas Touch fan base, I would say. That they think that he's like a clever, charismatic man who will one day lead the Democratic Party back to its glory, restore its former glory, and win so much that they'll say, Mr. Gavin Newsom, sir, Mr. President, sir, you are winning too hard. We don't want this much winning. Now, the solution to the Democratic Party's crisis right now is not to flood the market with more social media. The solution to the Democratic Party's problem right now is to change its policies, okay, and address the real material harm that people are experiencing every single day. Recognize the hurt and showcase the ways in which the Republicans are not helping people. Do you understand? So for someone like myself, this is endlessly frustrating to watch because I know what must be done. And I see this and I recognize that Dems are just like boom and do what's right. They think they can message their way out of this. They think if they have more charismatic podcasts and podcasters, or if the elected representatives themselves become the podcasters, this will be fine. This will be enough. That's not going to happen. It's very, very frustrating to watch.
He's like, no, Dad, what time? What time's Charlie going to be here? What time? And I'm like, dude, you're in school tomorrow. He's 13. He's like, no. This morning, wakes up at 6 something. He's like, I'm coming. I'm like, he literally would not leave the house.
Did you let him take off school?
No, he.
Also, an open admission that your 13-year-old is a major Charlie Kirk fan is literally an abdication of responsibility as a parent. You have failed as a parent, Gavin Newsom. Why would you say that? Why would you say that? The man sitting across from you with the tiniest face of all time on the relatively sizable dome is literally anti-MLK, anti-civil rights, pro Derek Chauvin. Like, he's everything. He is everything bad, okay? Trapped in one weird conservative body. And you're like, yeah, my 13-year-old loves your content. Are you out of your mind? Like, you're admitting to having a Groyper son? What the?
Of course not. He's not here for a good reason. But the point is
you canceled school for like 2 years. One day.
The point is the point, which is you are making a damn dent.
Thank you. I'm kidding.
But I know, but I appreciate that. I mean, it's the reason you're here, because I think people need to understand your success, your influence, what you've been up to, and the fact that you're on these college campus tours. And to your point, man, you just open up. I mean, you're like, ask me anything.
Anything.
Challenge me,
whatever.
When did this whole thing, when did you start putting this together?
I've been at this for 13 years and it's been a wild movement, really.
Bro, I feel like I'm losing my fucking mind. The fact that he's glazing Charlie Kirk is insane. I will say this. I responded to his tweet. I know his comms team saw it, saying like I would go on. Okay. Having said that, I think legitimately that Gavin Newsom is happier having his 13-year-old watch this incel content, okay, than his 13-year-old getting radicalized by someone like myself. And I think that is at the heart of the problem within the Democratic Party. These people would rather have their children advocate for the most insane right-wing positions than to go outside of the permissible boundaries of neoliberalism. You can go as far right as you want, but God forbid you actually end up on the left. God forbid you outflank the Democrats. It's very frustrating.
Accelerated once President Trump kind of came on the scene. Right around, I'd say 2021, we had a goal. Could we move the youth vote 10 points over 10 years? And
it was literally you sat down and put that numerical together.
Yeah, like, can we move it 10 points over 10 years? Ish, approximate. Yeah. Because our whole hypothesis was, and we did this alongside President Trump and his great team, was that this demographic is disproportionately to the Democrat side. We believe Democrats were taking them for granted. We think that your side had no message whatsoever and an ideological monopoly. We saw some of the fault lines there. And to President Trump's credit, he also harmonized with the strategy by going on podcasting and using TikTok. But yeah, I mean, we did it in 4 years, not 10, large in part thanks to you guys.
And we'll get to that, and I sincerely get to that, because I want to stress test some of those fault lines as it relates to the reality of our party and where we are today, vis-a-vis your ascendancy, not just individually as an organization. But where was that sort of moment for you? Because it's interesting. I mean, you're such a young guy, so it's not like deep biography here. It's not like 20 years in the wilderness, writing his first book, getting a TV show that was canceled, coming back. It's more just this immediacy of ascendancy. Was it? I mean, were you always, you're sort of born and bred with an ideological mindset, or were you more open-minded and you started to realize a lot of BS was out there?
Yeah, I've always been conservative. Obviously grown in that over the last 10-ish years. Was more libertarian, I'd say, in the first couple of years, as to be expected. As I got married and have kids, become more conservative. But no, look, just one of the things we saw in the last couple of years that the Democrats...
Never forget that Charlie Kirk was an anti-Trump Republican on Fox News initially, and very quickly turned around and has been an unstoppable glazer.
Democrats completely ignored, and your side was basically not acknowledging what was happening, was the crisis that young people were experiencing. That, I mean, it's the first time in America's history that a 30-year-old is going to have it worse off than their parents. It's a breakdown of the social compact. They are the most alcohol addicted, most drug addicted, most suicidal, most depressed, most medicated generation in history. And the message that was largely being fed to a lot of young people was lower your expectations. You're not going to have the same American dream that your parents would have. And we saw this as an opportunity, especially with young men. And again, this got ridiculed a lot by the press that, they're creating this manosphere thing. Look, they're half of the population and necessary for any society and civilization to succeed, which is to have both strong men and strong women. And we went about that in a very unique and creative way. And again, the president became a cultural phenomenon where no matter what you threw at this guy, he rose above it. And you would even have to give him credit. I mean, facing 700 years in federal prison.
Don't forget, I despise Republican political operatives. I would categorize someone like Theo Vaughn or Bradley Martin in an entirely different spectrum. Okay. On the political spectrum, they're somewhere very different. They open up the funnel and they have the broadest audiences. And it's important to go to where they're at and communicate with them and have a charitable back and forth. But a guy like Charlie Kirk is a party machine guy. He is a party propagandist. Okay? He's not interested in having a normal back and forth. He does not have a well-defined worldview. He does not. He just will always defend whatever the party position is. Okay? So when someone like Gavin Newsom chooses to have him on and basically seemingly agree with him throughout this entire process, this is a deliberate attempt by the likes of Gavin to actually say the direction I'm heading in for 2028. What's up, Kason? The beard is bearding. Thank you. The direction that Gavin Newsom is heading in for 2028 when he runs for office eventually is going to be this weird neoliberal, but like kind of right-wing adjacent on social policy position. And that in and of itself would absolutely cause, unless the Republican Party collapses in its entirety, which is very likely, would cause for the Democrats to lose again.
States tried to kick him off the ballot. I know you spoke out against it, but California did have a faction that tried to kick him off the ballot, right? That's right. And despite all of that, of course, being shot, and that was kind of the crescendo of all of it, he kind of became this figure of an American comeback story. So he personified what a lot of young people, especially young men, wanted back in their politics, which was an ascendant rebel attitude against these institutions that have failed them so miserably.
It's interesting. So what would, and you keep saying we,
It's so funny because it's like, I'm not gonna lie. Maybe people will say you're self-glazing, but I think I have a better understanding of why Trump won than Charlie Kirk. And I'm sure Charlie Kirk has a decent understanding of why Trump won, but he's obviously trying to present it in a different package here in front of Gavin Newsom. But no, it's not because it was a comeback story. It's like completely and utterly devoid of the real material reasons as to why Trump won. And what the Democrats failed to do in the moment. It is deeply frustrating that we got guys like this becoming more and more prominent as right-wing politics becomes more and more prominent. It always has been, and it's getting worse. And I think the consequences for regular discourse are going to be impossible to comprehend.
Which is interesting, and that's the organization that you created.
We would be like Conservative Movement, MAGA. But yes, I have Turning Point USA, Turning Point Action, Charlie Kirk Show.
Yeah.
But when I'm saying we, I mean more specifically kind of those of us that saw this political moment 3 or 4 years ago.
Right. But you were at this even before then.
Correct. Yeah.
So when did you decide to sort of just shift your gear? I mean, you were working for another Kirk, for his campaign, not
Mark
related.
Kirk, yeah.
Mark Kirk. So you had obviously you had strong political leanings, or at least desire to sort of be in the political sphere, but not in elected office necessarily. You just want to be behind the scenes.
Yeah, I mean, like the biography's been written about a million times, but I mean, didn't go to college, wanted to go to West Point, didn't get in. I'm an entrepreneur.
Yeah, love it.
Yeah, why didn't you get in?
Organization, and it became far more successful.
This is literally the reason why he became a prominent conservative person, by the way. He did a black woman took my position at West Point that I deserved. And conservatives love that shit. A lot of the DEI narratives, for the record, are exactly the same as the previous narratives. Before DEI, it was CRT. Before CRT, it was woke. Before woke, it was, thug. Before woke, it was affirmative action. Before affirmative action, it was thug, welfare queen. And then you go all the way back to the N-word, okay? That's how it works. So this is precisely the reason why the same cultural resentments demonstrated by conservatives have not really changed at all throughout time. We're talking about 2 decades almost ago when Charlie Kirk was writing articles for his high school newspaper about how he did not get into West Point because a black woman that didn't deserve that point, that didn't deserve that appointment, that didn't deserve that seat, got it instead of him because of affirmative action. That was his article. It got so popular, Breitbart published it. Then he went on Fox News. Then he took the newfound fame that he saw from Fox News, because they immediately blast you if you're young into orbit and make you a conservative commentator. A similar thing is currently happening. The brain cancer kid, okay? Conservatives love that. When they love having like dumbass children running around being like, I love whatever, this and that. I hate DEI. Like that's literally what it was going on for Charlie Kirk. Like he was the dumbass child who wrote an article that went on Breitbart, that went on Fox News, and then they turned around. They turned around and he took that newfound fame and took it back to his father's friend, Foster Friess, who was a major right-wing donor to the Republican cause back then. Okay. And he said, I'm going to do Citizens United style election interference and lobbying on high school and college campuses for the student body governments. These are places where woke exists. We are going to single-handedly change the political ideologies and the ideological leanings of these institutions. That's what he said. That was Turning Point USA. Now, of course, he achieved zero success in this. I can't stress this enough. Zero. He did not actually end up getting any impact whatsoever. He very famously did the diaper incident. If you remember, a lot of some of these chapters were like wearing diapers to talk about safe spaces and how shitty safe spaces were, how lame they were, whatever, all this stuff. But basically, for Charlie, his entire operation was trying to convince elderly Republican mega donors that he actually was having an impact amongst the youth. Now, the only thing that has changed since then is that now right-wing commentary does have a noticeable impact amongst the youth, and the only way that he was able to arrive at that was through TikTok. This is the first time in Charlie Kirk's career where he actually has motion amongst the youth. Part of that is because of Andrew Tate and the likes of Andrew Tate and the likes all these like whatever podcast style podcasts, the men's rights movement online. Okay, all of that stuff created an ample ground for volatile youths to feel a sense of belonging and a sense of purpose and become actively more reactionary. So that's it. That is the reason why he does actually have motion amongst the youth for the first time ever. But for his entire career, he basically lied to old people to tell them, like, give me some money and I'll make the youths more right-wing, which never really worked. There has been an active pendulum swing in terms of like youth politics in this country, and I think that spells disorder and devastation for the future. But, you know, that is where we're at.
Successful than I ever could have realized. And
put something there.
the kind of as we started to grow the organization, I recognized that there was a ideological imbalance on a lot of these college campuses, and we wanted to go about trying to offer a counterpoint of conservative, pro-freedom, pro-liberty, America first ideals.
And you saw the college campuses as sort of the underbelly of the opportunity, or is it just more experiential in terms of your own sort of animus towards the
both.
institution?
You have a sitting population of about 20 million kids that are there for 4 years.
There's that.
And also, again, you had nowhere to go but up. 70%, when we started in 2012, 75% of kids on college campuses would vote for Democrats.
Yeah.
Now, fast forward to today, this last election cycle, Democrats lost the youth vote in Michigan, nearly lost it in Wisconsin, nearly lost it in Arizona. So our goal was, hey, let's move it 10 points. We moved it 13 points. And this is important for your audience to know and for Democrats to reckon with, of which I see no signs that Democrats care at all that they're losing the next generation. We're drawing record crowds. Our ranks are expanding. The most support that President Trump has is voters under 30. 60% of voters under 30 support President Trump. That's according to Rasmussen. You might say that's a little rich. It might be, but it's directionally true.
Yeah.
And one of the main reasons that this has all been happening is that baby boomers have actually seen their wealth increased the last 4 years. They don't buy into this whole idea that our institutions are broken or that they're in need of massive bottom-up revolutionary change.
Okay, he's right about this. Like, he's not wrong about this. It's just that his solutions are, this is the problem with the Republican Party and the problem with the Democratic Party. The Democratic Party is actively not seeking out the real answers and actively not recognizing the real problems, whereas the Republican Party, on the other hand, recognizes the problem and then uses it to its advantage. Uses it to its advantage in a very devastating way. By redirecting that anger and resentment to more acceptable targets while they still continue with their devastating agenda that makes the situation worse overall. On that note, I just wanted to briefly touch on this interview, but of course, it is now time for Marvel Rivals. That's right. Ladies and gentlemen, it's Marvel Rivals time. And because it's Marvel Rivals time, I'm going to be moving away from all of this and getting into Marvel Rivals. Hold on one second. I have to make some changes. I have to put the panel up, and I have to hope that I can find some people who will play with me. If they won't, then it's okay. I will one shot and single-handedly uplift my ranks. Hold on a moment. Let me see. Where the hell is it? All right. Hold on. Okay. Apparently, people are saying that there is a new Marvel Rivals skin as well, which I'm excited for, and we'll be taking a look at. Or there's a new skin for Venom. Hold on. All right, change that. Okay. A bunch of new characters since you play, by the way. No, I played the last time. So I do know I've played The Thing quite a bit, as a matter of fact, and I really enjoyed playing as The Thing. Why do you have a WoW collector's box? Ooh, good eye, chatter. That is a WoW Classic Original Collector's Edition. Because I'm a real one. That's why. Because I'm a real WoW head. I noticed that Asmongold was moving away from WoW and becoming a political commentator. So now, as the number one apolitical content creator on this platform, I am moving into the direction of WoW. I'm a